Chapter 6. Communion through Meditation. The Blessed Lord said, "It is the man who performs his duties without dependence on the fruits that deserves to be called a sannyasin, or renouncer, and a yogin, not the one who keeps no fire or avoids works. O son of Pandu, what is called sannyasa, or renunciation, know that to be identical with yoga, or discipline of selfless action. For whoever has not abandoned subtle hankerings and self-centered objectives can never become a yogi, or a practitioner of spiritual communion through works. For one who desires to ascend the path leading to the heights of spiritual communion, detached work is the means. For one who has ascended it, quiescence is verily the means. When one ceases to be attached to sense objects and to one's actions, then that one who has thus abandoned all subtle hankerings and self-centered objectives is said to have ascended the heights of spiritual communion. One should uplift one's lower self by the higher self. One should not depress or downgrade one's self, for the self verily is both the friend and the foe of the self. To him who has subdued the lower self by the higher self, the self acts like a friend. But to him who has lost his higher self by the dominance of the lower one, the self functions as the enemy, always hostile to him. In one who has conquered his mind, the self remains steady and unperturbed in the experience of the pairs of opposites like heat and cold, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor. A yogin whose spirit has attained contentment through knowledge and experience, who is unperturbed, who has subdued his senses, to whom a lump of earth and a bar of gold are alike, such a yogi is said to have attained steadfastness in spiritual communion. Specially noteworthy in excellence is he who is even-minded in his outlook on friend and foe, on comrade and stranger, on the neutral, on the ally, on the good, and even on the evil ones. Let a yogin constantly practice spiritual communion, residing alone in a solitary spot, desireless, possessionless, and disciplined in body and mind. At a clean spot, which is neither too high nor too low, a seat should be made with kusha grass, spread over with a skin and a cloth. Firmly seated on it, the yogi should practice spiritual communion, with mind concentrated, and with the working of the imaginative faculty and the senses under control, for self-purification. Holding the body, head, and neck erect, motionless and firm, gazing at the tip of the nose and not round about, fearless, serene, restrained in mind, and established in the vow of continence, he should sit in spiritual communion with me, looking upon me as his highest and most precious end. With the mind restrained from going outward to objects, and always uniting with the Supreme in spiritual communion, the yogi attains to peace, which is supreme salvation and enduring establishment in my state. O Arjuna, success in yoga is not for those who eat too much, nor for those who eat too little. It is not also for those given to too much sleeping, nor to those who keep vigil too long. For one who is temperate in food and recreation, who is detached and self-restrained in work, who is regulated in sleep and in vigil, yoga brings about the cessation of the travail of samsara. When the disciplined mind is able to remain established in the Atman alone, when it is free from longing for all objects of desire, then is it spoken of as having attained to spiritual communion. The flame of a lamp sheltered from wind does not flicker. This is the comparison used to describe a yogi's mind that is well under control and united with the Atman. That state in which the chitta, mind stuff, with its movements restrained by the practice of yoga, finds rest, in which is experienced the joy of the spirit born of the higher mind intuiting the spirit, in which the yogin experiences that endless bliss which is beyond the ken of the senses, but is intuited by the purified intellect, wherein established one does not waver from the truth, having obtained which no other gain is considered as greater, remaining in which one is not shaken even by the heaviest of afflictions. Know that severance of connection with pain as what is designated as yoga. It has to be practiced tirelessly, with determination.